Hello, and thank you for downloading Witness from the BBC World Service with me, Alex Last. And today we go back to 1998 and a moment that changed Nigeria's political history.
General Abacha rules Nigeria with an iron grip. He took over power when the military annulled democratic elections in 1993. After imprisoning the man who was winning the presidential vote, he promised to lead Nigeria to a new millennium in which security and stability are paramount.
Wake up all you patriots to reject the negative image being painted of you and our beloved country.
By June 1998, General Sani Abacha had ruled Nigeria for almost 5 years. Still in his early 50s, he was a stern, if rather enigmatic, military officer, his eyes often hidden behind dark sunglasses. He'd played a behind-the-scenes role in several of Nigeria's previous military coups. Once in power himself, he'd drawn intense criticism for his human rights record. Opponents were often jailed, some were executed. Isolated by the West, Abacha had promised democratic elections and a transition to civilian rule by October 1998. But with just months to go, the country's 5 licensed political parties all nominated General Abacha as their candidate for president, and his rule looks set to continue.
General Abacha has led this country over the past 4 years well, has ensured peace and stability, has ensured steady growth of the economy of our country.
What we've seen so far is the manipulation of the democratic process by General Abacha and his cronies.
He's a quiet person, calm person. He can be very firm on some issues, but normally he doesn't talk much.
Professor Sadiq Suleiman Wali was General Abacha's personal doctor. Professor Wali had served as physician to the 3 previous Nigerian heads of state after being reluctantly recruited to the role in the early 1980s. He considered himself politically neutral and lived outside the sprawling, heavily guarded presidential complex known as Aso Rock in the capital, Abuja. But he was a fixture in the presidential entourage. How was his health?
He has been generally healthy, but he had some health issues. We were able to find what it was, and he was treated, and he responded very well.
What were those health issues?
As a doctor, I don't give details of what they were.
I suppose what I'm getting at is, were they heart-related?
No, he didn't have any heart-related disease at that time.
On the 7th of June, he'd been with Abacha as he had hosted the Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat, and all seemed well. The next morning, General Abacha was due to fly to the OAU summit being held in Burkina Faso, and Professor Wali was due to go with him.
Just around 6 a.m., I had a phone call from Major Mustafa, that's his chief security officer, and just said, please come to the villa, come urgently, that's all. Before I could even get ready, a car came and picked me, but I had no idea what it was all about.
The car carrying the doctor sped towards the presidential villa through a special entrance, a shortcut which only the president was allowed to use. The doctor realised something was seriously wrong.
I arrived, then I saw the chief security officer, and he said, Doctor, come in, please come in. So I rushed, and then I just saw the president. There was another doctor who came earlier, resuscitating him.
Resuscitating him?
Yes.
Where? In his bedroom?
Not inside his bedroom, no. He was in the sitting room, actually.
And he was on the floor, was he? Or on the couch? Or where was he?
He was on a couch.
And was the president, was he in his pyjamas? Was he, or was he in his normal work clothes?
Yes, he was in normal work clothes.
It must have been a dreadful scene. Were you yourself panicked?
I didn't panic. I've seen a lot of such problems before in my practice. But to affect him was very tough. Yes, very tough, definitely.
Professor Wali immediately set about trying to resuscitate the general.
I joined and we did as much as we could to resuscitate him. But when I came, I think he was almost dead. That's what I realized. It didn't work because he was foaming.
Foaming at the mouth?
Yes, that's right. He was foaming. We just continued to get the airway. The normal resuscitation, and even injected things into the heart to stimulate it, etc. But it didn't work.
After 40 minutes trying to resuscitate the stricken general, Professor Wali declared that General Abacha had died.
People think that, no, he's still alive. Then I said, look, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do.
There was no immediate public announcement. In a country prone to coups, Abacha's head of security first increased the guard around the presidential complex and then called the heads of the armed forces together to decide on a replacement.
Immediately, the security officer took over and he invited all the service chiefs and all this to come to Abuja. By then, most of them were based in Lagos.
When the service chiefs arrived, some asked to see the body to pay their respects to their former leader.
I was a little reluctant. Maybe they wanted to confirm to make sure it's true. I showed them. Then they gave their salute, and some of them were crying.
It fell to Professor Wali to inform the family of what had happened. Obviously, the sudden death of an apparently healthy head of state raised a few questions. Professor Wali was determined that there should be an autopsy to find out what caused the sudden heart attack. After much deliberating, the family declined, preferring for a quick burial in line with Islamic tradition. But the doctor was determined to find some clues as to what had happened.
I still tried to take some samples of blood and urine and hair and things like that, just in case for the future, from some chemical tests, etc.
Are you satisfied that he died of natural causes yourself?
It's very difficult to say since we didn't. But what I can say, the blood tests we did show some raised enzymes, cardiac enzymes, and so that's what we thought maybe it was a cardiac attack.
Every Nigerian has their own theory about what happened to General Abacha. There were, of course, scurrilous rumours that he was either poisoned or that he had spent a night entertaining young ladies. Any of this true?
As far as concerned, when I entered where he was, there were no ladies at home. So I don't think, it might be true, but I did not see them. Question of the poisoning, as I said, no post-mortem has been done, so one cannot be too sure whether it was poison or it was just a heart attack.
While the generals deliberated on who would take over, plans were made to take General Abacha's body for burial in his hometown of Kano later that day, and it was decided to finally tell the public what had happened.
General Sani Abacha, GCON, passed away in the early hours of the morning.
Nigeria's military leader, General Sani Abacha, has died. Reports say he suffered a heart attack earlier today. General Abacha, who was 54, seized power.
The military, senior military officers, I understand, have been meeting all day to find a successor to General Abacha.
But with Abacha gone, the game had changed. The military soon indicated it was ready for a return to civilian rule. But before that could happen, there would be another dramatic twist just a few weeks later, and it would fuel theories of a conspiracy, because the next to die was the man believed to benefit most from Abacha's demise, the jailed opposition leader MKO Abiola. And you can hear what happened to him on another edition of Witness later this week. For a complete range of downloads and our terms of use, go to bbcworldservice.com/podcasts.